everyone. My name's Simon Briggs. If you want to know my last name, there you go. I'm the pastry chef at Mercer Hall here in town. I'm also the level 1 pastry instructor at the Stratford Chef School. Today we're doing croissants. Croissants aren't just plain old boring things you get at the bakery. We can do some interesting things. We're going to do some chocolate croissants. We're going to do some cheese and bacon. We're going to do, I don't know what else we got. We got some pesto. I made some goat's cheese and roasted tomatoes. So we're gonna stuff our croissants with lots of different things. We're gonna do 2 styles: the classic crescent or half moon, and then we're gonna do they're called pain au chocolat, and essentially they're squares of the croissant dough, and we're gonna roll we have some chocolate ganache. I'll get onto our ingredients a bit more in depth later on. First of all, you make your dough. You allow that to rest overnight in order to develop flavor, and you do that in the fridge so it doesn't expand too quickly. This is the dough. I'm very secretive with the recipe for this because it was given to me by a very, I don't know, he's a really cool baker. His name's James McGuire, and he's come to the school so many times to teach us about bread, and I got this recipe from him. Go online or grab a decent baking book, or even grab this encyclopedia. Get the recipe for the dough. Once you've got the recipe for the dough, it's the same process. If you follow what I'm about to show you, your croissants will be awesome, regardless of which dough recipe you're using. Yeah. So that's what we did to get to this point. We mixed our dough, loosely mixed, and we just let time do its thing. There's a lot of bread theory. It gets kind of boring. There's like 12 stages of making bread from start to finish if you break it all down and you do the science behind it all. So flour is something you want right now. So we're going to roll this out in order to get our butter in, and then we start folding the butter. Now, I'm doing a process called laminating, so you can call this a laminated dough. Brioche is a laminated dough, Danish is a laminated dough. It's just a process of folding the butter in and incorporating a butter. It's just the term that it's used for. All right, so we're gonna roll this guy out. Now, I spoke to you before about gluten in flour, and essentially, to start with, this dough has no body or strength. And you're going to think, you know what, I totally wasted my time going to that lecture on croissants. That guy doesn't know what he's talking about. This dough is not going to work. Trust me, 24 hours in the fridge, it's going to have developed enough gluten and enough strength in order for you to do this, okay? The next stage of that is to laminate your butter into the dough, meaning you soften it, you make it pliable, and you shape it into a similar shape as to your rolled dough. You were paying attention before. Why am I going to start hitting this butter? The what? The water? I heard the water. And what else? To make it pliable, but still keep it cold. Well, cool enough, okay? You don't want it too soft. Okay, so. Okay, so now we'll give it that, I don't know, I guess we're kneading the butter or massaging the butter, or whatever you want to call it. All right, so we're probably going to stop there. All right, so the butter is soft, but it's still quite cool. And you want to start shaping this into somewhat of a rectangle. This rectangle should be 2/3 the size of this rectangle, and I'll show you why, okay? So we're gonna roll the butter, right? All right, so that's not bad. So now you've got to sort of carefully pick it up and put it over here. So we're a little short on this end, but it's fine. you want it to be enclosed in your dough. If you have it too far over here, as far as I'm concerned, you run the risk of it oozing out the side of your dough, and that's not what you want. So we have that, right? We're gonna do what's called a letter fold. If you ever folded a business letter to send off to your bank manager or whatever, or you fold it in 3. So this is called a letter fold or a half fold, okay? We fold the butterless side over first, and then we fold the butter sided on top of that.
Layer of dough and butter.
Exactly. So we have 3 layers right now. It's gonna be slightly different. We're gonna do this another 2 times, but we're gonna do something called a book fold. You start with a letter fold or a half fold, and then you move your way up to a book fold, and then a second book fold, and that's essentially it. So we have our parcel of butter, and already it's quite soft, and you know, you don't want to muck around with this too much. You want to get it done. Now we're going to roll it out again. Now this time, it's kind of essential that you get it quite thin, because then you'll end up with some really lovely layers and lovely spirals in your croissants. Okay. Now some people might think, oh my God, this guy's like rolling this way too thin, but trust me, this will make an awesome croissant. It's like what I said, like so many people have different ways of doing things. As far as I'm concerned, not one way is right. If your way works for you, then it works. You know, why would you do it any other way? So we're gonna do a book fold. It's gonna look like a book. So you do it in quarters now. So we bring 1/4 in, 1/4 in, okay? Make sure they're nice and neat, right? Follow me?
Yeah.
Yeah, we all good? And then we're gonna fold it in. So it looks like that, and it looks like a book. Therefore, a book fold. What we do now is we wrap this up and we put it in the fridge. You then roll your dough out the following day, and you shape your croissants. You let them rise or proof them, and then they're ready for the oven. We're gonna roll this out, so it's gonna be about, I don't know, that long by about sort of that wide. This has actually, we put this in the freezer. The reason why I freeze this before I work with it is we have layers of butter in, and we have yeast, right? So what happens is if you put this in the fridge, it's going to start to expand, and those layers of butter are going to break. And then you get these lumps of butter everywhere, and it gives you a not so nice looking croissant. So what I like to do is I like to freeze them. So when I take them out and put them in the fridge, they rise very slowly as they defrost, so we don't get this breaking of the butter. It does slow things down a little bit. By all means, you can go ahead and do it straight from the fridge, but like I said, you're going to run into these problems. So flour, you need a lot of flour. If you don't put enough flour down, you're going to run into trouble. If you press too hard, you'll rip the dough, you'll get butter coming out, and you really don't want that. You want this butter that you've worked so hard to put into your dough, you want that to stay where it is, right? So let's start rolling. You might find, as you're rolling this, you come across bubbles or air pockets. The bubbles are from the yeast fermenting. So it's producing what? It produces CO2, right? So you can see here we got little bubbles. And I've seen pastry chefs burst these bubbles with a skewer or a needle. I guess if you want to do it the proper way, you should do that. But as far as I'm concerned, hey, they're going to burst anyway as you roll them, so it doesn't really matter too much. A lot of people use stencils for this. They'll cut out a triangle in the shape that they want, and lay it down so they get like the sort of same size each time, but there, don't need to do that. We're gonna eyeball it, they'll be delicious anyway.
It is sort of like there's a lot of steps in the process, so it's nice to have somebody like actually walk you through each one of the steps, and not only to watch him, but to be able to do it as well was kind of nice.
Like I said, these guys are gonna be huge, they're gonna be great croissants. So you can draw a line to create your triangles. Now you're thinking, hey, what's this guy talking about? Because we're supposed to be making croissants, which are in the moon shape, but hey, I'll show you what we're gonna do. It's gonna be so exciting. Can everyone hear me okay, by the way? Like, some of the students in school said I mumble, and I have a funny accent because I'm not from here, so if you don't understand what I'm saying or you can't hear me, please say something. Okay, how many are we getting? 2, 4, 6, 8, 10. So yeah, roughly about 12 to 14 per dough. So there we go. I think that's 13, so unfortunately that's scrap. So I have my triangles, now what do we do? So I've made a little slit here, okay. This is so you can stretch the dough out a little bit. Right, no flour as well. Flour is like kind of bad. When you're rolling things like doughs, bread or whatever, you don't want flour on your station because it just slides around. You want enough so it doesn't stick. And then we're gonna sort of like pull it apart a little bit like that, press it down and start to roll it. Now what we're gonna do is that, okay, it makes it longer and ultimately we'll be able to curl it around like that. And you wanna push on this, right? You don't want to like squeeze the butter out, but you wanna put enough pressure on so it's forming its shape. Now when you get to this point, you're gonna pull on this, okay? So it sort of makes it a little bit longer. Roll it up, boom, there you go. Curl it round. Yeah, these are gonna be massive. I'm so excited for these. Croissants it's a skill to make. Some people might be afraid of the process, and I kind of wanted to sort of convey to these people that it's not difficult to make. So first thing we do is we make our little slit, and that's just to help us get it going. Then we'll take our egg wash.
Is it just egg or egg and water?
It's egg yolk and water. Okay, so we have egg yolked our croissant. Guys, this is easier than anything, okay? We're gonna put cheese and bacon in it, all right? Let's grab our cheese. When I started cooking, I was so like, this is the way it has to be done. And then as soon as you start sort of thinking, hey, why don't we try that? Why can't we do this? Why can't we do that? It just opens up so many more avenues for you, do you know what I mean? So if you want to use Parmesan, they're going to be great, you know what I mean? Why don't you use, yeah, like I said, brie, you could use whatever you wanted. So don't use bacon, use pancetta or some smoked ham hock. You could use a lighter cheese for something more creamy, or you could use a strong cheese that really packs a punch. I like strong cheese. I'm from the UK, like we love cheddars. Stilton's, holy moly, like a blue cheese croissant, now you're talking. I want to come in tomorrow and have one of them. So we're going to do exactly the same thing. Now it's going to get messy and it's going to start oozing out the side, but who cares, right? As long as we end up with the same result. Now, I would be inclined not to shape these into crescents. I would just leave it like that.
It's just interesting to see the different pathways you can go with it and how many options you have, really. The world's your oyster and you can really be creative.
When you're egg washing these guys, you want to try and get it all over, but you don't want to drown them, right? You want to get enough on so they brown, but they're still going to stay crispy, okay? So this is what I do. Start at the bottom and go around the top. As long as the surface is, I don't know, glossy, shiny, and damp, then that's fine by me. It's very easy to make mistakes, but the process of making croissant dough is so simple. I guess I just wanted to convey that to everyone so they can go home and make them themselves.